I mean, it depends
Mike is
on
in his
if you. It
ass.
depends on what you're referencing when you
Build it.
say abiogenesis. I understand the standard view is there's just like this big cluster of theories about
Yeah.
life coming from non-life. I feel like obviously there are mechanisms through which life is able to come from non-life, and it seems like we've determined what those mechanisms are already.
Yeah, it's just like it's a little you define like life differently than a normal standard. You define life as based in
Well,
that
I'm guessing in the
context.
context of abiogenesis, we'd just be using the biological definition. Just like you can either use the cell theory definition, where you're saying it's a cell or set of cells which operate together as a unified organism, or you can just use like the standard biological definition, where you just check off the necessary conditions, things like homeostasis, yada yada.
Well, I would assume that you would go with like if you were abiogenesis, I would see you more likely picking like the latter, where it's not particularly cells, because you hold the life comes from non-life and all that.
Well, you would say that either of those definitions would be sufficient to say that life comes from non-life. The cells definition would be is sufficient just because cells exist. Cells once did not exist, and so cells must have come from non-cells. The other one is that would just be the same argument. This mechanism that fills out these necessary conditions, that checks all the boxes, it once did not exist. It currently does exist, and so it must have come into existence. And because of that, it must have come to existence from non-life.
I agree. Like for the most part, it's just at the same
That
time,
shit
like
sounded smarter.
people that will define back, like depending on how they define life or not, like that might include cells as well. So I would just say that, or somebody that might
non-life?
perceive it as that way. No, it's life.
Oh, well, yeah, they
That
are
includes
life.
cells in their definition. Yeah,
It does. It does under
so I would
both
say the
these
person
definitions.
would probably typically pick the latter definition. They were trying to argue about Genesis.
If they take the latter definition, I mean, both are going to be consistent because all the examples we have of a thing that fits the latter definition with the necessary conditions that are just like the standard bio definition, the only thing we have that fits those are cells and sets of cells.
Yeah, the sets probably would be a better explanation. But yeah, I understand where you're coming from. It's not like impossible for define it like that.
Yeah, I mean, they're both consistent with each other. They're not going to point to any example. You can like point to hypothetical examples, but no example in the world's going to contradict those so far that we've seen.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you reject abiogenesis? I see the cross in your bio, and 50-50 chance.
Yeah, like I like this was a debate a while ago. I don't even know if you can call it a debate. It was just kind of ranting, but yeah, I do still hold to the belief that life still comes from life, whether it includes like something that isn't necessarily physical, like but if it were any other case, then I could see like a technical abiogenesis stance not being fully contradictory, just being fair.
I mean, that seems strange to me. Even like a non-physical thing, if God is able to create life without being physical, like a non-physical God can do this, why can't a non-physical not God, like just say instead of it's God, it's like some like it's just.
I mean, again, it kind of depends on how you define God. Like if any progenitor of the universe will define God to be, then I mean, like I can't really just argue against like at least it goes for that.
That's going to be consistent with what most atheists say is the cause of the universe's creation. So that's like consistent with black hole cosmology, even. Which that's not the most what most atheists say. Most atheists will probably just say like everything begins with the Big Bang, and that's the beginning of both time and space.
I think atheists like deny like just a personality like of the universe.
Yeah, it's not a mind or a thing with like. Even if you don't, you can go with like you can even consider like a fucking like pantheistic views, like similar to like idealist atheists. So honestly, probably not even the mind definition, but is something where it's like an agent. Yeah. Like if an agent created the universe, then God exists. If an agent did not create the universe, then God doesn't exist.
That's what I always thought it was. I wanted to know your thoughts. Like, have you ever read on the gateway process? You ever read up on that?
Gateway? What the fuck? What?
I just so hot.
The gateway process.
No. What is
the gateway process?
It was like that. It was like that military document from I think it's the CIA back from or somewhere, but from the 70s, 80s, and they basically talked about how they found a way to train their soldiers to like kind of time travel in their minds, kind of.
The
And there
staring
was
at
like
ghosts type beat, that general trend of like
yeah,
crazy schizo shit that the CIA did in the 70s.
like, they did the like I forget their detailed explanation about it, but I think they they had like some diagram for
Talk about the
patterns of
astral
thought
projecting shit.
between the time, yeah, and like that's kind of what it is, kind of basically kind of is. But they were saying
Yeah,
that
they
they were
say
going to use it
that.
to gather intel, and that like there's a 0 point for the speed of your thinking, and that's when you can access like alternate dimensions and shit. And it's a
Bro, what? Bro, what?
Unironically, the CIA, he's not even bullshitting you. The CIA believed so much crazy, stupid shit in the 70s, it's unreal. They thought that one of the funny things is this is something that we now
I'm
know
saying.
to not. That here's the thing that people don't want to admit. People don't want to admit that the American government, the CIA, especially during the 70s, during the fucking Cold War, they were just retarded. They were just retarded. They're not like they didn't like have some special access to secret knowledge. They were just really fucking stupid. They also thought that LSD could be used as a truth serum, which is incredibly fucking funny because as the dose of LSD ramps up, you become less and less capable of expressing what's the truth.
I think Wonder
So
Woman's rope is laced with LSD.
say what?
So you think Wonder Woman's rope is laced with LSD? That might be
They
it.
did. Now the fucking LSD is just totally ineffective as a fucking truth serum, but they thought it would work because they didn't know shit because it was the fucking 70s and everybody was stupid, especially the American
They also
government.
killed civil rights leaders. I mean, I didn't expect them to be the most knowledgeable people. They
Yeah,
couldn't
like
even
Fred
cover
Hampton
up the
and shit.
tracks line. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Feel like-
Sinthe, when you gonna start debating fiction, bro? It's way better than IRL.
I don't know. It seems too easy to just do rat shit with the fiction stuff.
Come
That's all
on,
it
bro.
is. That's all it
We
is.
gotta
Not
do the
wrong.
rat.
He's
We
not
gotta do the
wrong.
rat shit for the one time. Since we gotta do the rat shit for the one time.
I'm down to do the rat shit. It's just the issue is that it feels like it's like it
Yeah.
doesn't capture the spirit of what people actually want out of it. Like if I go to the fiction comms and then every single time I debate, it's just some like obscure it's like a Curry's paradox shit, or it's like I argue for
Yeah.
trivialism, or like I just even just like I just make fun of the fact that they're using fiction and making truth claims. Like there's like a million different ways to rat, and it feels like people would just be bored of that.
I usually rap. I remember I came in ratting. That's what everybody know me for. Especially like if you're talking about FinCon niggas like and I don't know, around that time they definitely gonna be just for fucking ratting and shit. But like I didn't expect like other people. Oh, Noodles as well. I think you debated Noodles one time.
Are you familiar with the Curry's paradox shit?
Curry's paradox? No.
So it takes on a form. You know liar sentence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes on a similar form to that, but it's a little bit different. So here's the example. I'll give you the example statement, and you just tell me if you think that what I just said is true or if it's false. So the statement is just, if this statement is true, then whatever fiction claim you want to bring up, you're wrong about. Is it a true or
that
false
shit
statement?
already exists, bro. You too late.
What the fuck? One more time.
If this statement is true, then you're wrong about everything you believe.
I understand. I understand how that could be like explained. I think like if you're saying like if you're claiming something to be like true as in true externally, and then you're wrong about everything you believe because this piece of fiction is like am I following, or is it a little different?
Not exactly. It's actually a little bit more annoying. So unironically,
Wow.
on face value, it's a much more annoying argument. So if I say, if this statement is true, then you're wrong about everything you believe. Do you think that statement is true, or is that statement false?
And that I mean,
You just say it's false.
argue it to be false. Yeah.
All right, so that's the fucking catch. This is the annoying part. If it's false, then it's true. So if I say P implies Q, and P is false,
That's so gay.
so it's so gay. So if P is false, and I say P implies Q, that means P implies Q is true, correct?
One more time.
So in the case of a statement, P implies Q, right? Under the condition that P is false, that statement is true, correct?
No.
Yeah, it would be. So what P implies Q means the same thing as not P or Q.
Oh, never mind. Fuck.
Yeah. So if I was to say, it's not the case this statement is true, or you're wrong about everything you believe, that means the same thing, right?
You gotta. I think you said you were asking me if that's a
Yes.
it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I say this statement is false, or you're wrong about everything you believe. Is that statement I just said, is it true or is it false?
I mean, if it's false, then it's that's annoying, bro. What the fuck?
Yeah, if it's false, then it means the statement is true. And since the statement is true,
Exactly.
and the statement is so if the statement is true, that means we have a P or Q where it's not P, therefore it must be Q.
Bro, Sinthe, bro. People already did that shit like 3 years
Jesus,
ago,
bro.
bro. You can do this, bro.
3 years
You
ago,
can
motherfucker,
join,
that's
yeah,
Curry's
Reaper.
paradox. That's way older than
Reaper's
3 years.
Reaper, like he made that shit, and bro,
You think
please
Reaper
join
invented
Bro,
people.
Curry's paradox?
the fiction niggas
No, he didn't
leave,
make
bro.
Curry.
Curry
He didn't
did it in
make Curry's paradox,
1942.
but he used it a rat and shit, like to like be annoying in fiction debates, bro.
Hey, how you
I
get
think you could
past
join
that
this
Curry
fiction group.
paradox?
Intention thinks is God, retard.
How you get past it?
Oh,
Who
yeah,
said
how
that?
you
Just say it's
debunk Curry?
non-propositional.
Dick
So
suck.
you went for the liar's paradox.
You said what?
You just say it's non-propositional. It's neither true nor false.
I'm about to tell you said what?
I just gotta know. So if somebody were to
Oh my
say,
God.
chicken, is that true or false? You'd say neither. It's neither true nor false. Chicken isn't the kind of thing that has that property. The same is true for the statement I just gave. It's neither. It's neither true nor false.
Ooh,
The
okay.
chicken's just a term. Terms and their concept.
Wait, so if what I utter is true, therefore you concede that like the same shit? Is that like a version of it or not? Like, is that a different thing?
That would be that sounds like it's just a different variation on Curry's paradox, which is a variation on the liar sentence.
I remember
Oh,
telling
are you
like
saying, that's not
yeah,
propositional we
some
just
shit
said?
like that.
That came from a time period where the world was objectively more evil. It was during the it was during the height of Nazi Germany.
Bro, where's Reaper bitch ass at, nigga? I'ma debunk that nigga.
Sometimes I wonder if I could
Yeah.
play Jet Set Radio on like a custom like 1945 World War II map. I think that would just go hard for some reason.
I'm gonna be back in like 30 minutes. I'm gonna go get some food. Peace.
Hey, Andy.
See you soon.
Damn.
This nigga said you go in my pen.
Bro, Chong, bro. Wait, no, careless. They are propositional, nigga. That is not what I mean. I didn't say no as in like.
No,
yeah,
I know, bro. I'm saying like, bro, I get.